Raya and the Last Dragon, Harry Potter TV, another AMC comeback, and the little things. Right now?
And I'm Darius Delsoin. This is Cinema Unchained.
Well, hello. Welcome to now what it is, episode 6 of Cinema Unchained. Today we're going to be talking about the new, expansive, full-length trailer that was just released for Disney's next film, Raya and the Last Dragon. The reports of the Harry Potter television series that's apparently in development. AMC saving itself from bankruptcy yet again, and The Little Things, both coming into theaters as well as going on HBO Max this past Friday. And before we get into talking about Raya and the Last Dragon, if you're watching us on YouTube, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell to get all notifications. If you're not already there, check us out on Apple and Spotify podcasts as well. Now, Raya and the Last Dragon. For those who are not familiar with the film, it basically follows a warrior who must find the last dragon in her land in order to bring unity to all the conflicting civilizations in, in her kingdom. Or they're not exactly sure as far as like what the scope of the entire world is, but it does look interesting. Darius, what are your thoughts on what we've been able to see as far as Raya and the Last Dragon?
Yeah, Raya and the Last. This was actually one of the Disney animated films I was actually really excited for because it just looks so different, and I'm happy that they're diving more into Asian culture in a sense. And so just seeing this, I was like, this is right up my alley. The visual aesthetic is amazing. Like this trailer alone even solidified it further for me to the point where it's like, I want to see this movie. Like, this is probably one of my most anticipated films of this year now.
Yeah, same here, honestly. The animation, again, just based on what we've been able to see from the trailer itself, the animation already looks very crisp, which, again, as Disney goes along more and more, you're going to see just an improvement in animation. And not that they've ever really disappointed in the animation department, but even just as far as, like, what seems to be an original story, this seems like a very intriguing world that they're building, and it doesn't necessarily feel 100% like something we've seen before. Again, I could see the movie and be like, nope, never mind, totally wrong, called this one wrong, but that's not what my gut is telling me at the moment. This does feel like something that is going to be, at the very least, different from what we've usually seen. I think this is going to find a way to differentiate itself from other Disney films.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. Like Disney already has a plethora of like a bunch of their own animation. They have Pixar, then they have Walt Disney Animation, and knowing that this is from Walt Disney Animation kind of just shows the scope of what they can really do when they're given the creative freedom that is necessary to make interesting and unique worlds. And I think Raya and the Last Dragon is one of them because I already loved Frozen and I love Moana, I love Coco. But now seeing this just looks and feels vastly different from the other Disney animated movies because of the aesthetic, because it's within this culture that they're trying to explore. And right off the bat, again, this trailer just almost knocked my socks off. I was blown away because of just, especially the talent that they have in the movie itself. They have Kelly Marie Tran as the main voice actor, as the main character, which I think already she's doing a great job. And then you have oh my god, what's Aquafina as the dragon. That's another and she's a funny person, and so seeing these roles and seeing the animation, like it really fit for the narrative that it looks like they're trying to tell. I will say one thing though that I'm a bit unfortunate is that as much as this looks amazing, for some reason just feels and looks like it could be a TV series. I don't know why.
Again, I think that's a question that we'll be able to answer better when the film actually comes out. But could it possibly work as a TV series? It's possible, but I want to see exactly where they take this as a movie first, because I don't want this to be wrapped up nicely as a film, just to have it get dragged out and get stretched too thin as a TV series.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. But again, like overall, this has me very excited. I think the cast looks great, the acting, just all around. And let's face it, I mean, the star of the movie really is going to be the baby. It's going to be the baby. Let's face
what
it.
Exactly they're going to do with that, because I feel like that has potential to kind of come off like, I don't know if I'm just going to use the word cheesy right now because I can't think of another word off the top of my head at the moment. But I feel like that has
I
potential to
mean,
come off as like a little hokey, but maybe not. Again, I could definitely be wrong. Disney could of course surprise us, but
yeah,
I'm looking at Kelly Marie Trans, and she of course got a lot of backlash from yeah, unfortunately from the Star Wars
unfortunately.
series. Which I'm gonna be honest, like as a performer, that wasn't her fault. Like why that character was so poorly received. Like she just wasn't given too much to work with, and of course I have
Yeah.
no problem saying this. The Star Wars, the hardcore Star Wars fan base, is really one of the nastiest fan bases out there. So I really do feel badly for her. But I'm hoping that this will be like some kind of way for her to differentiate herself and break away from Star Wars. Which only
Those
wait,
people
what you
aren't
say?
Star Wars fans, though. They're not
What'd you
Star Wars
say?
fans. I said they're not Star Wars fans. You
Yeah,
don't
so
attack someone.
get a life. Oh, you ruined my child. You ruined my childhood.
Yeah,
If your
exactly.
childhood was hanging on just that, then you didn't have much of a childhood to begin with. But I do want to see exactly where
Exactly.
she goes. But again, I'm saying too, like, oh, maybe she'll be able to break away from Star Wars, but to what extent? Because Disney owns Star Wars now, so who knows?
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, just from this, it definitely looks and feels like she's branching out and she's doing her own thing, which, I admire and I give credit to her for doing that. And so I think this film is definitely going to help her, I guess, maybe star power wise, get back on her feet. And I think even confidence wise, too. Again, she's playing essentially an Asian protagonist. She's Asian herself. So I think it's really going to solidify maybe hopefully her confidence as well. Because I remember when during Star Wars, when the backlash happened, she got off Twitter, Instagram because of the confidence and everything. So I think this movie is definitely going to boost her
Yeah.
self esteem for sure. And I'm not saying that she doesn't have any. It's just that in general, from that backlash, that I think this film is going to do wonders for a lot of people, honestly. And I hope it does well. And I hope
Honestly, I
because
do think
it
it has a
looks
lot of
amazing.
potential. And something else that I was just thinking of too. This comes out in both theaters and on Disney Plus with if you have the premiere access on March 5th. So,
Yeah.
how do you think that's going to pan out for box office? I do think this is a better
Which,
balance than just putting it directly onto Disney Plus. If you want to get people to go back to the movies,
yeah. I mean, there is more choice now compared to the Mulan situation. That you can choose either the theater or Disney Plus, but still knowing that they're releasing it for a premiere access for $30, and comparing that to what Warner is doing, I would rather either go to the theater or, unfortunately, maybe wait and see the movie when it's free on
no,
Disney
I'm not.
Plus.
I'm not waiting I'm not waiting that long. I'm going to
Yeah,
the theater for this. Absolutely. This strikes me as something that should be seen on the big screen, as most Disney animated features usually should be.
yeah. No, yeah, for sure. I mean, like again, it's just unfortunate they have to put on Disney Plus with that
Yeah.
$30 price tag. That's really the main thing. It's like, do you want to pay $30 for Disney Plus to see this one movie? Let's say people don't have Disney Plus, but they want to see that movie. Is it 30 for Disney Plus, or 15 to the theater, and maybe 30 really at a theater when you start tackling on the popcorn and the snacks that
Also,
you
too,
get?
not for nothing, you also have to think about
So it's
a lot of times. I'm sure that one of the arguments behind this $30 surcharge that like, oh, they're watching with their families, so it's like they're saving money as opposed to buying however many separate tickets. But again, if I'm just someone like me who's
true.
paying for myself, going to the theater, I'm hoping I don't go to the theater by myself again. But I'm just paying for myself, and it's a different story.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Disney's definitely, especially for Disney Plus in general, they're approaching it as we want to be there with the families, not the individuals per se, because that's Disney. That's who Disney are. They create a lot of content for young kids, for families, for that family going experience, and not necessarily for the young adults or people who want to just be on their own all the time. So I think Disney's also in this position where, okay, you have a lot of people where want to see this movie but maybe on their own, and then you have others who are the family that's like, hey, maybe $30 at home isn't that bad. Or again, we don't know for sure, but I think just in general, I'm just hoping this movie is good. I want it to be good. It looks great. Cast seems great. um and just have to wait and see. Hopefully for the responses, and hopefully it's maybe given a sequel at some
Well,
time.
let's not get ahead of ourselves.
Frozen and
Let's not go there.
no,
Quite yet.
yeah, I'm just saying.
Let's see
I'm
if it
just
deserves it
saying.
first.
Yeah, I'm just. Yeah, exactly. Like I said, we have to wait and see. But ideally, for me, this seems like a world where I definitely want to go back to.
All right. So I'm curious, as far as to everyone who is watching or listening, what is your gut feeling on Raya and the Last Dragon? Are you confident in what you're seeing so far? And if you have any thoughts, which I'm hoping you do, leave them in the comments section. So moving on, Harry Potter. Harry Potter might be getting the TV show treatment. According to the Hollywood Reporter, a live-action Harry Potter series is in development at HBO Max. Darius, what do you think? Were you the biggest Harry Potter fan growing up?
I was not. I appreciated the franchise for what it was, but I wasn't a huge fan. Like, let's face it, I watched all the Harry Potter movies. I read a good chunk of the books. I don't remember if I read all of them. That's the thing. I don't remember if I did. I probably did. But I definitely liked the movies. I definitely liked the cast, and now they're all grown up. So hearing that there's going to be a series exclusively on HBO Max, I think that's great. There's a lot to the world of Harry Potter, and that entire just world and story. Just there's so much to tell. And so you have the Fantastic Beast that's already doing pretty well at the box office, and a lot of people like that franchise, like the Fantastic Beast movies. And I think doing a series would be awesome. But now here's the thing. I want to ask you, Joe. Now that there's a Harry Potter series coming, possibly, would you want to see the old cast back as
I
grown-ups?
Absolutely would, because one of the things that I've always loved when it comes to certain franchises is that you have the people that established it. You have the old handing the baton off to the new, and I always love when they do that. And I think there's an opportunity for like a real emotional connection, like a real generational emotional connection to be formed. So I would very much like to see that. And based on what I know, I've read all the books, I think, for except the last one. And from what I understand, there are a lot of directions that they can expand and innovate with, as far as like these characters and everything in the world and whatnot. So I want to see. I'm very intrigued to see exactly where this goes. I hope this happens because, again, according to that Hollywood Reporter article, no, there aren't any cast or crew or like writing teams attached to this. What's happened so far is that like the conversations have happened as far as making a Harry Potter series, but no names have been like attached to anything yet.
Yep, exactly. And I think one of the cool things, especially with Harry Potter, I think just the streaming services in general, and if I had to compare Harry Potter to another series, and I'm mainly approaching it from like, oh, this is a world they can tell a lot of stories in, right? HBO now has Harry Potter, that's in the works, and Disney has the Percy Jackson series. I think that's going to be really interesting going forward to see how both handle the mythology and the books that they come from, the adaptations, and see how they move forward. To us, we're thinking Harry Potter is going to be passing the baton down, because that would just be great to see the old cast coming back. And then with the Percy Jackson series, that's going to be interesting to see if are they going to jump into the future? Are they retelling his story? What's that's going to tell? Because the Percy Jackson series has so many spin-offs now that if Disney plays it right, they can also make a whole Percy Jackson universe
out of this too.
On Disney Plus.
Someone who has been a diehard Harry Potter fan his entire life, I've read I read all 7 books when it was just 7 books, but now like the 8th one came out in the last years, and I haven't gotten around to reading it. I read all 7 of the. I've read the first 7 books, seen all the movies, and this feels. Here's the thing: a lot of times when I hear about something getting a TV treatment, like after it's made some kind of prominence as like a motion picture franchise, 9 times out of 10 I'm a bit skeptical. When I heard about this, I wasn't skeptical at all, because in my mind, I don't think something as rich and expansive as the Wizarding world, as the Harry Potter world, has as much of a risk of being stretched too thin. Because like I said before, there are a lot of directions, and there's a lot that they can go in, and there's a lot that could be developed, and I think a lot of that is just waiting to be put on the screen. So I'm very
definitely, for sure.
I mean, again, we could find out that like certain people are attached to the project, and my confidence can just go straight in the tubes. Like we could find out that like M. Night Shyamalan is attached to write this.
I don't want to hear that name,
so,
bro.
I don't know about this anymore. But I'm assuming that J.K. Rowling is. I would assume she has some kind of creative influence over this, even though she's gotten a lot of controversy over the last few years as far as like
over
certain
the years.
comments
Yeah.
that she's made. But I don't know exactly how much of an impact that's going to have when she's the sole proprietor to an extent of the Harry Potter world. Like she's like the chief creative. She's
Yeah.
basically the caretaker of this property. So
I mean, they could always kick her to the curb. To be honest, like they own the Harry Potter films, Warner. So it's like, it's it's gonna be this. It's interesting because it's like we've always heard about the creative differences that happen behind the scenes with a lot of films, and that certain directors just are no longer part of the project, like Edgar Wright with the Ant-Man movie, and so much more, right? So I think if Warner, if they really wanted to, like if it was that bad, they could easily toss her to the side if they chose to, if they wanted to. Like she owns the books, but I don't know if she owns the film rights. See, if you get what I'm saying, right? Because I think that's all Warner,
yeah,
if I'm not mistaken.
because I thought that I read that she's like I said, the chief creative, like I said, the key holder for everything in the Harry Potter kingdom. But again, I could be totally wrong.
Yeah, I think she is
I'm sure
too.
they could
Yeah,
find like some kind of shenanigans to pull to kick her to the curb somehow. But I
ex-
feel like if that was the case,
exactly.
I feel like they would have done that already with like the Fantastic Beasts
Exactly, they
movie.
would have done it
Yeah, I
already.
feel like they would have done that already. But again, I could be
Yeah, which
totally
is
wrong.
why I don't think they
But
will.
who knows?
But it could
It
possibly
could
happen.
possibly happen. They could pull the trigger anytime they want if they have something up their sleeve, which wouldn't surprise me if they do. But I
Exactly.
do think it would be a bit of a mistake because one thing that I've noticed with the Avatar: The Last Airbender live action treatment that Netflix is doing, which
I'm not
which
too keen on that
well,
one
yeah,
now.
here's the thing: I was because the original creators were involved. Now they're not,
Yeah,
and my
and now
confidence in
I'm
that
like,
once again, took a nosedive. So we'll see what happens. I think we're going to be keeping a very close eye. I'm going to assume that it's going to be a long process for us to actually get some kind of content when it comes to like a Harry Potter TV show. But I'm very excited for it. I'm curious as to what you guys think. Do you think that it makes sense for Harry Potter to get the small screen treatment? Again, give your thoughts in the comment section or even at our social media pages on just DM us. Any time you want to like comment on like a messaging board or anything like that. Our social media pages are in the description below. All right, so moving forward, AMC seems to be back from the dead yet again.
yeah, yeah. I mean, like we were all expecting them to almost go out at this point. It is now January, and they're still kick. They're still alive right now for the time being. So hearing that, they've sort of been like basically given a lifeline. Like, hey, here's the rope, take it. So you better start climbing up.
Yeah, like here's the rope. Don't hang yourself with it, please. Just like do something good with it. Limp along if you have to. Like, please,
Exactly.
please. And like, here's the thing. Here's the thing with that. If there is that many people that are giving money to AMC, because again, AMC has raised $917 million in equity. So someone has to be somewhat confident, or at least a lot of people have to be somewhat confident in AMC's ability to survive all of this.
Yeah, so it comes down to the confidence that hopefully AMC has going forward as well, considering even like it's weird because now it's like, okay, they've been given a lifeline, but yet all these other companies are still postponing their films to next year or the year after that. So it's like, how, even with this money, how much longer can they still sustain through to the next year? Because right now we've already had, what was it, Morbius got delayed, just Uncharted got delayed to next year. A lot of pretty somewhat big movies got delayed. Right now, other films like Black Widow are unsure at the moment, but just in general, just how the film industry is moving forward, even with AMC given a lifeline and everything, I don't know if that's still
I'm
enough.
hoping it is because like here's the thing: you have certain big profile films that have been moved back, such as A Quiet Place 2, such as No Time to Die. But then you have Godzilla vs. Kong that actually got pushed up. And Black Widow seems to be, at the moment, again, of course, this could change right before we put this episode online, of course. But Black Widow at the moment seems to be locked in for a May 7th, which is just about, like literally a day over a year after it was originally supposed to come out. in 2020. So again, there's definitely still a lot of volatility in the movie theater industry and the film industry. But again, if you raise $970 million, and again, that money came from more than half of that money raised comes from like an issuance of over 164 million new shares of common stock. Um, that has to show some kind of confidence in the movie theater industry. That has to show some kind of
Yeah.
confidence is what I meant to say. That has to show some kind of confidence and willingness to go back to the movies.
Yeah, for sure. Like I think we're at the point now where it's like even though they even handed, they have a bunch of money now, the 917 million. It's still going to come down to the people and see if they still want to go to the theater. Especially like like it's unfortunate that on my mind I'm still thinking that I don't think theaters are going to last another year because of the big move Warner Media did. Not Disney, not really Disney so much, but just Warner Brothers in general, because they own and they sell and they release a bunch of movies almost every single year. It's like Warner Brothers, Disney. You still got some Sony there and other people, but like Warner and Disney are like the two big companies in Hollywood right now. And knowing that every single movie of Warner that was supposed to be in theater is going to be on HBO Max, it's kind of a toss up. Really, it's like it's more of a wait and see. Like, let's see what their financials look like in the like into June, really May or June, as that's half the year. That's I think if they're doing well then possibly they can last a couple more years. But if they're not, and we see the rise of, let's say, HBO Max subscriptions and payments, like that could spell trouble, because now you have Disney Plus already moving up there and shooting up there. And now that with all their Marvel stuff is coming on Disney Plus, especially shows this year, it's going to be interesting to see the Warner side of things and to really see that balance between, okay, how many people are watching the movies at home versus how many people are really going to the theaters. Because right now, just last year, it wasn't a lot, and they made the statement that they were probably going to go out and right now today. But no, hopefully they last longer. Hopefully it's a toss up at this point right now, because everything is moving in different directions.
Here's the thing too, as far as Warner pulling the shit that they're pulling, as far as like simultaneously releasing their films in theaters and on HBO Max. I know, because like here's the thing: when that move first happened, they got a lot of backlash from people in the actual film industry itself. So I'm wondering if that backlash is gonna continue. Like, are people gonna look at Warner Brothers and be like, "Ah, you know what? They're putting a cap on what I could possibly earn making this film," because of course you have higher profile executives and filmmakers that a lot of times make a certain percentage of box office returns. And are they going to look at Warner Brothers and be like,
and bonuses afterwards?
Are they going to look at Warner Brothers and be like, you know what, I have more of an opportunity to make more money with this company. I might take my business elsewhere. I might take my talent elsewhere.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I like Warner definitely made a staple in the industry, and it's not like streaming is bad. It's just the fact that they didn't tell anyone. They're like, we're just going to put it on our service, and I think some consumers will be that it's more convenient for them because of the pandemic. We're all still at home. Oh, hey, Godzilla vs. Kong's at home on HBO Max. Why not? Let me keep the subscription every month or whatever.
Godzilla vs. Kong is Warner Brothers? Yeah, never mind. That could be an issue. Never mind.
Exactly. So we're about to hit February, and I think when March hits, we're gonna see some stuff possibly, especially on the HBO Max things, because March we're getting Godzilla vs. Kong, we're getting the Zack Snyder's Justice League. So already right there, two really big movies coming out in March, to the point where it's like, okay, now you have that fan base. Now you have that a lot of people are in. They watched Godzilla, they loved it, right? They can rewatch it over and over and over again without having to go to the theater to pay $15-$20 over and over again for 30 days. Because right now, if you watch it on HBO Max for 30 days, right? Compared to Disney, where it's like, oh, you have to pay $30 to just own it or watch it, but yet it's still a subscription. So with Warner, it's like, okay, you have these two big movies coming out, right? And then when people look into April, right, like myself, where you have the Mortal Kombat movie, and some people who are, let's say, fans of that may like Mortal Kombat, or is like, hey, that looks interesting. Let me keep my subscription and watch that, and then on and on and on, including Dune and Tom and Jerry and Space. Well, it's all over the place, really. And I think Warner just really, you have Netflix that changed the streaming game years ago when they came on. Now you have Warner change, and just with the streaming side of things and how that changed is already, it's changed significantly. You have all these other companies wanting to jump in, but now you have Warner saying, "Oh, these people that did spend their time and money with us, that did want to make these theatrical things, yeah, we don't think it's theater-like anymore, or we want to put it on something else." They made a staple further with the individuals, the actual filmmakers themselves, and that's going to bite them in the ass.
I think so too, because you have a lot of filmmakers that so very much believe in the movie theater experience. And like I said, combine that with the fact that Warner Brothers is basically putting a cap on what they can earn, or at least putting a siphon on what they can earn at the box office. They're going to piss off a lot of people, and I agree with you. I think that is going to come back to bite him in the ass, and I really hope that it does come back to bite him in the ass. I really do, because I very much want to see the movie theater experience around for decades to come, because there's nothing like it. You're never going to find a way to replace that, in my opinion, because it's always going to be like, a good night out with your loved ones and people that you care about. So before we cap off the show with our review of The Little Things, if you have not gotten a chance to yet, follow our social media pages, give us a like on YouTube, subscribe to us on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. If you're on YouTube, hit the bell to get all notifications, and same thing on Apple and Spotify. Hit the bell, do whatever you can to turn on the notifications, so that you can always stay current and updated with new content that we put up. And
yeah, hit the bell, okay? It's not too hard. You just got to ring it.
It's not string theory. And before we get into our review, we're just going to wait for my friend Roberto. He's going to be talking about the film with us today. He made the trip with me. He was a good Samaritan that decided to come on this journey with me to the theater to see The Little Things. All right, so to cap off the show today, we are joined by one of my best friends, Roberto Passalacqua, to talk about The Little Things. Roberto, how are you doing today?
Good. How are you guys?
Yeah, can't complain. Cannot complain at all. And I don't think anyone would listen.
Yeah, can't complain.
So, for anyone who's not familiar with The Little Things, now I want to be a little cheeky and just quote IMDb with the log line. And it basically just says, 2 cops track down a serial killer. That's obviously not much to work with in terms of getting a picture of the movie. But if you really think about it, that description is basically a microcosm for the entire film, because this movie was empty, it was hollow, and I felt absolutely nothing. And I don't know how much you guys agree.
Well, for me, because this was one of my most anticipated films, because I like Denzel Washington, I like Rami Malek from Mr. Robot, and I like, to a certain extent, I like Jared Leto. I think they're all talented actors. But watching this film, at certain points, I did feel the tension. I did feel what they were trying to go for. The performances were really good, if not great. Denzel is showing his age, however. I will point that out. But just overall, especially just towards the end, I got very dissatisfied. And I was just like, this has done absolutely nothing now. Like, I don't know how I'm supposed to feel, what I'm supposed to feel. Like, just, it felt that they had a lot of different things going for them, different characters, but yet they all didn't really, it's like certain things progressed forward, but at a slow and steady, and I'm fine with slow movies, and I like that this was slow, but the fact that they had to hinder on certain moments just felt pretty, the pacing wise was off. Like, it was just off in certain areas, and just overall, it didn't feel like a complete package. So where I wanted it to be, when you're giving me Denzel Washington, and I like Denzel.
So, Roberto, I know you have a lot of thoughts.
Yeah. So going back to what you were saying, Darius, especially like the ending, that just did not feel like an ending to me. Like, I don't know. There was
No.
like, I don't know if it was trying to build up to anything, but I didn't feel it. Um, yeah, Joe remembers too while we were watching it. I was like, was that it? Like, wasn't anything else after that? Like, I don't know. And plus two, another thing, I don't know if it had to do with the writing or like the script.
It was writing.
Yeah, the writing was just terrible. I guess Denzel Washington did all he could.
He did all.
Yeah, I think he was definitely. I think he was the best character, or yeah, the best performance.
Yeah,
I guess from throughout the entire movie. But yeah, it was just very. It wasn't good.
it was very.
I rather would have seen this on HBO Max than going to a movie.
Here's the thing.
To be completely honest, it was like really bad.
And here's the thing too, because it's funny. Darius and I were just talking about like, oh, the life of like the movie theater industry or whatnot. Like, oh, I want this industry to stay alive. But when I walked out of this one, I'm like, I might get HBO Max.
Maybe not so much now. You can die.
I looked up the subscription cost for HBO Max when I got home from this movie. I'm like,
oh wow,
pretty bad. It was a little bit over 2 hours. Felt longer, a little bit over 2 hours, and $13 later, not worth it at all. And because here's the thing too, the performers did all that they could. But the problem was the characters just weren't there. I just didn't feel anything with those characters. This movie just gave me nothing to hold on to, nothing to get attached to. And I feel like this movie had the potential to do that considering its subject matter. And there could have been more tension there. But I just feel like, honestly, it wasn't there. If I remember correctly, I fell asleep.
Really? I actually didn't fall asleep.
I fell asleep. Yeah, no, this was kind of
Roberto. Did he really fall asleep?
I mean, I didn't pay attention to him, but he told me afterwards he did. But yeah, no, especially with what you were saying, attachment to the characters, I felt nothing. Like, I don't know, I just felt like I didn't learn enough about each individual character to grow an emotional attachment. You know what I mean?
Yeah. There just wasn't enough.
Like, it was just a
very
personality
wise, everything felt like very one note. And it was just like a lot that was lacking there. Even with the plot too, like it was a little tough to understand like what exactly. It's very weird. Walks a very strange tightrope where it's tough to understand what's going on, but at the same time, it still felt very simplistic. You know what I mean? Like there's nothing about where this story goes that reinvents the wheel, or even comes close to reinventing the wheel.
Well, I mean, because I think just in general, I'm fine with films being simple. It's just that the characters have to be engaging enough for us to want to continue watching. And I don't think the little things really did a lot of that. If anything, I know you said you liked, I believe you said Denzel was probably the best part.
Yeah.
I think he was one of them. And I actually liked Jared Leto to a certain extent. Like, he creeped me out. I felt very uneasy at certain points. I do think he played it a bit too much into the role on certain occasions, but I think just overall, and it's unfortunate that Rami Malek didn't get that character's attention that he deserved, because I think there could have been so much more they could have explored with that. And it's like, because to me, I'm watching, I'm like, okay, things are starting to change with him, but then the ending happened. I'm like, that's it. Like you just this would have been a better short.
I can see that. I mean, going back to what you were saying, I think the actors did the best they could. With what they were given, it was just, I don't know, it was just really, really bad.
I'm going to be honest. I'm surprised that these three extremely talented actors signed on to this. Like, they read the script, said, "Okay, this is the role that we're thinking of." I don't understand like why they took the roles in the first place, because from what I know from actors and actresses, they want
probably easy money. Who knows?
They want something that they.
I mean, Denzel got $20 million.
Thought that'll do it too.
From
what I understand too, like performers want something they can sink their teeth into usually, and there just was not. Again, there was just nothing there for them. like they did the best that they could, but I don't think that these characters were worthy of the performers. I really don't. Just the biggest fault with this film is, of course, the writing. But I'm very disappointed in it overall because you had a talented cast and crew. Like for example, the cinematography. I will say the cinematography looked nice. The music was actually decent, and that's about it. You had a solid cast and crew. You had writer director John Lee Hancock, who also did The Blind Side. He did Saving Mr. Banks. He has a decent track record behind him. So I'm disappointed in him. I'm disappointed in the cast and crew, but not so much for the movie itself because I didn't have too many expectations going into this movie. So I guess the movie, quote, met my expectations because I didn't have any.
Yeah, I mean, going back to what you were saying, the best part to me about this movie was the soundtrack. And like, again, depending on the movie, that could be like a positive or a negative. You know what I mean? Like, if the movie's good and the soundtrack like complements it, then that's great. But like, if you have like a terrible movie like this one, and all you can just like, you know, draw upon, I guess, or like all you can just recall is the soundtrack, or like, then that really says a lot.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. But
it shouldn't make a break up.
I know, Roberto, you said the best part of the movie was your popcorn. That must have been some pretty bomb-ass popcorn.
Yeah, I did say that. Yeah. That's right.
That's a direct.
Yeah, I enjoyed. Yeah, I definitely enjoyed my popcorn more than I enjoyed watching the actual movie.
Yep.
It was just
honestly, I kind of feel the same way because I was eating ice cream.
On the upside, like here's the thing, we finally got some previews, and those previews together were better than the movie itself. Like we saw some good looking ones too. We saw the Black Widow preview. We saw the Judas and the Black Messiah preview. What else was there? There was like a frontier lesbian drama called The To Come that looked interesting too. And I'm like, all three of those trailers are better than the movie, which is kind of sad. So, all in all, like I said, a little bit over 2 hours, $13 later, not worth it. And here's the thing, I feel so bad.
Yeah.
I feel so bad about like saying that a movie with Denzel Washington in it is bad because I do generally like him, and I like the other two actors, Rami Malek and Jared Leto as well. I actually went online to see if there was another Denzel Washington movie I could watch that I was actually interested in because I felt so bad about saying that a movie that Denzel Washington in is bad.
Yeah, I mean, and even talking about Denzel Washington, he really showed his age, to be honest. As much as he was pretty good in the role that he was given, it was very obvious that his age was showing. And I think that goes to show that you can act until a certain time, to be honest. And I think after Little Things, he should have, not because he's bad, but just because there are certain scenes where it's like, oh, he does not look good. Like, how could you just be like, yeah, he looks great, and it's like, no, you messed up Denzel like that, man. Disrespecting his overall look. So there are certain moments where I was like, I think certain, and it's not that he's terrible. He's not terrible. He's an amazing actor. People love him for a reason, but just that maybe take a break for a little while, especially after this movie. And it's not on him, it's on the script.
I'm not even going to say, like, take a break. So, like, maybe be, like, just a tiny bit more selective. And I get it, like, even if you're selective.
Yeah, or more selective. More selective.
You miss a shot every now and then. But, even then, I looked at, Darius, when I invited you to go to the movies, you're like, oh, I have HBO Max. I'm going to watch on there instead. I'm like, damn it.
Yeah, my dad and I watched it. He, like, downloaded it, and we just watched it. So
and I found out yesterday that my brother went to his fiance's house to watch an HBO Max, and I felt like an even bigger fucking idiot. So honestly, I feel like I kind of screwed myself at this one by being a little too loyal to the movie theaters, because if the movie theater industry wants to stay alive, they're gonna have to give us a lot more than just this.
Yeah. I mean, not just the theaters, but also even Warner Media themselves. If they're going to have subscription stuff, subscription-based service, they need to have quality content on there.
Exactly.
Netflix has a lot of hits and misses, but you know what? Those hits stand out, and that's why people stay on Netflix.
Yeah, the Netflix original films are really, really good.
Yeah,
some of them. Yeah,
no, I'm saying like the good ones. No, there's a decent amount of good movies there. I'm not saying they're all like perfect hits or anything.
Yeah.
But like, you remember the good ones.
Absolutely.
Exactly. Same thing with their series. Like, probably their biggest one is Stranger Things at the moment, and people still talk about it.
Yes.
So
yeah,
and Witcher, which is also pretty excellent in my opinion. So
yeah. So, Roberto, I'd like to thank you very much for coming on here. It was a great time.
Oh yeah,
today.
no problem.
And
had a lot of fun.
Yeah, good. I hope you had more fun today than you did watching the movie.
Okay. Oh yeah, no, without a doubt.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Okay, so quick question though, Joe.
Yeah.
Quick question though. You didn't like this movie. Did you like it more than New Mutants? Because I know you said you prefer the ride.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think I have to give a slight edge to New Mutants. As bad as that is. Yeah.
Wow. Well, that says a lot of people. We out.
I found a little bit more to like with the New Mutants than I did with the Little Things. Which again, it's
that says a lot.
It's rough, buddy. It's rough, buddy. So, Roberto, thank you very much for coming on. I hope you come back soon. I hope that seeing the Little Things in theaters didn't scare you out of going to the theaters during times like these. And for anyone that's still watching or listening, don't forget to check us out on YouTube and Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Give this video a like, subscribe, hit the bell to get all notifications, no matter what platform you're on. And hope to see you and hear from you guys next week.